Hey everyone, it's Ryan Lynch at the Lynch Real Estate Group here in Las Vegas. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about a residential appraisal. If you're buying a house in the U.S. or specifically in Nevada, and you have a loan, you are getting a mortgage, you will have most likely an appraisal. And I'll talk to you about most likely. It's a scenario that doesn't happen very often, but what is an appraisal? So the lender, whoever is loaning on that property, they're going to order an appraisal, and they'll order it in the contract. So you make an offer on a property if you are financing, and if it gets accepted, there are certain time frames, certain contingencies within the contract for timing of events. One of them is an appraisal, and it depends on how the contract is written. Depends on what you want to write the offer for and how many days does the lender need for that specific appraisal, whether it's a VA loan, FHA loan, or a conventional loan. What happens in an appraisal? So an appraisal is an estimate of the home market's value. And when I say home market's value, it's based on sold comparables. When I say sold comparables, homes that have sold within that area. So if your house is 123 Main Street, it's within that. They do a range. And so there's parameters that appraisers use. They're licensed and they have their own association, their own guidelines, own regulations, just like realtors do and licensed real estate agents do. And in that, they have certain categories that they look at. If it's a one-story house, they compare that one story to one story. They go from the house and they start working out, and they're looking at sold houses. They start within the neighborhood, they go out. I've seen them use 2 miles out. That's not too common, but it can happen if there's not enough solds within that area. When I say solds, recently solds, they're not going back 2 years, 3 years, because the market changes. So they want to know what the market value is of that specific house that's comparable to the one that is selling. And the one that's selling, what is the square footage? They do plus or minus on the square footage. They try to get pretty close to that. They're looking at number of bedrooms. Does it have a pool? Does it not have a pool? The appraisal will occur where the lender will order it, and then they have a arm's length of the appraisers. They don't have a relationship with the appraiser. They're not working with them. They're an independent company that comes out and gets value of that house. So they'll run comparables. The appraiser will previously run comparables before they go out there to see what is sold, right? When we list a house, when my team lists a house, this is how we operate. We run comps just like an appraiser does. We look at what's sold within the area, within the neighborhood, like properties, and we want to list that property. The goal is, depending on what the seller wants, but the goal is to list it what the market value is. So if anyone has a loan, if a buyer comes in and they have a loan and they say, we want this house, they're going to order an appraisal, and that appraisal comes in at value. So we're not having a conversation 21 days into contract that it came in low and now we have to negotiate that. So when I say a third party, they don't represent the buyer, they don't represent the seller, they don't represent the bank. The bank is only going to loan on what's appraised, what the appraised value is. So let me give you an example. Say there's a purchase price of $400,000 and the appraisal comes out and they come back at $380,000. At that point, the bank is only going to loan at $380,000. So there's $20,000 left that the seller and buyer can negotiate. They can look at, is the seller willing to come down to that $380,000 price? Are they going to meet in the middle? That's why pricing your house right up front is crucial. That's also why if you're representing buyers like we do, we run comps prior to writing offers. We talk to them about our buyers. We talk to them about, okay, here's what the market says the value of the house is, right? There's two benefits to the appraisal. Number one, it's going to tell you what the value of your house is, so you're not overpaying for a house, right? It's for the seller too to know what the value of their home is. The appraiser will come in and they'll go through the house and they'll have the comps. They may have not run them prior, they may run them after, but they'll know what's happening in that area. They will look at the condition of the house. Okay, great. So is it in poor condition? Is it in good condition? Is it in excellent condition? And so they'll categorize that. They'll look at the other properties that have sold. What condition were they in? So they have access to all that data. They then come back to the bank, the lender, and say, okay, here's our appraisal. Here's the value, right? We do some things on our team from a seller side. So we talk about a buyer side from how we run comparables and what we tell them and giving them the information of what's your best foot forward on an offer based on what the appraisal could potentially come in at. From a seller perspective, it's listing the price or listing the house at the appropriate price point based on what the market says the value is of that house. And then when the appraisal is ordered, we attend those. And why do we attend those, right? There's a number of factors. One, we're going to run the comparables just like we did in the beginning when we listed the house, just like an appraiser would. And so I meet that appraiser there. We talk to them. We say, here are the sales comparables that we ran to support the list price that we created. We're not making up. We're not going 5 miles out. We're not looking at houses that aren't comparable. Here's the data. Are you open? Can I leave these with you? Yes, no. There's no energy on it if they don't want them. Okay, great. And then one of the key things for us is what has the seller done in that house recently for upgrades? And what is the dollar amount associated with that? Oh, they put in a pool. They put in sunshades. They put in new stainless steel appliances. They redid the kitchen and redid the granite. All of those could add value to the house in an appraisal. So it's great information for the appraiser if they choose to receive it. So our service from a buyer side is, okay, here's the data on if you want to write this offer. So say the house is listed for $400,000 and the market says the house is worth $400,000. And they want to write an offer for $460,000. Well, it's probably not going to appraise at that. So buyer, before we write this offer, are you open and willing to come out of pocket? What if it doesn't appraise? Yes, no. Okay, let's talk about that, what that looks like. And so having those high-level conversations prior to going into a contract is crucial. I can't tell you how many deals we've represented on the other side where the real estate agent has not done that. And whether they haven't been schooled in that process or they just think that everything's going to work out, it normally doesn't, right? I mean, we're having really difficult conversations a lot of times late into a contract. So if you can do one thing is if you have questions about the appraisal, ask your lender, ask your trusted real estate agent. If it's our team, great, we'll walk you through that, whether you're a first-time home buyer or someone that's done it 50, 100 times. It's the same conversation every time. So, okay, have a great day, and hopefully this supports on the appraisal.